Is the OnlyFans gold rush over? Is it done? Is it finished? Or is OnlyFans still the easiest way to monetize yourself online in 2026? Here's the truth. Both sides are technically correct. And in today's video, I'm going to go over exactly why the answer isn't a simple yes or no. By the end of today's video, you're going to know exactly how OnlyFans stands in 2026 and actually know whether there's still opportunities left on the table. If you don't know who I am already, my name's Dylan. I help creators like yourself solve everyday problems within the space and at the same time stop you from making stupid mistakes which lose you money. First things first, we're going to go over the arguments for is OnlyFans saturated. And one of the main reasons people think OnlyFans is saturated is just because there's so many more creators now. There's just constantly people signing up and trying to make money for themselves. For example, in America, 10 to 14% of women aged 18 to 25 have an OnlyFans account. That is a ridiculous statement to actually think about. That is a huge, huge, huge number of people. And all of those people are technically competition. But one of the side effects of there being such an increase of creators is less buyers. So what's happened because of that? So, for example, 2-3 years ago, the average spend per fan was about $30. Now you're looking at more, $3 per fan, which is, well, a massive decrease. Over the last few years as well, because there's been more competition, quality of content you need to create has increased for your marketing because there's constantly people thinking of new, better ideas which are going to go viral. So the marketing side of things has become a lot more competitive. You've got to be able to create a good standard of content and create actually viral content that is going to do well on social media platforms and promote your personality and your brand. It's not the same as a few years back where you could just post a video of you posing and doing thirst-trappy stuff on TikTok and Instagram and Reddit when I was booming, and you just flood with the subs. It's not the same at all. You've got to master content and marketing to be able to have a solid chance of earning a lot of money. You've obviously got teams and agencies which have got prior experience to help you with that, but if you're going to do it yourself, you need to master marketing. Just branching off from where I mentioned Reddit, that's a prime example of the race to the bottom, where there's so many creators competing against each other. It's literally a race to the bottom with your pricing. So things are just becoming so competitive that, for example, you could have started a $20 subscription price and then over time, 19, 18, all the way down to the bottom, and then everyone's got a free trial. And that's technically what killed Reddit. And don't get me wrong, like I don't particularly like Reddit, but you can still do very well on there, especially if you're niched and you've got some particular thing that people would be interested in that's out of the ordinary. Little random fact to add into the end of the saturated part of this is that the top 1% earn more than 33% of the income on the platform. It's not really surprising stat because they're obviously earning a lot of money, but I thought I'd just throw it in for the sake of throwing it in. Now, let's move on to the arguments for OnlyFans isn't saturated and you can still earn a lot of money. But one of the main points to talk about is the fact that the market just keeps growing and growing. There's an everlasting supply of horny men. And that is who you are selling to, technically. Obviously, male spenders take up the majority, or the vast majority of spenders on the platform. So there's constantly going to be a new pool of people. There is always going to be a need for the adult industry for as long as there's men on planet Earth. And as creepy as that is to say, it is a true statement. You've also got niches. There's so many unused niches that you could take advantage of. The majority of creators on the platform are just copying each other and still creating a shitty standard of content. Like, even though there's so many people on the platform, your competition is pretty weak. You can climb the ladder really, really fast. So if you are new and looking to get into something, or you're not earning much money, look at a niche. There's so many to pick from. Just pick something that's male dominated and you're going to do well. Niches are wide open. If you've got a special talent, utilize that. Learn your marketing and utilize it. A lot of people don't really like to show their personality off, which is stupid because that's what actually sells to people. So find something that actually makes you stand out and you're competing in a market of one or a market of a few. The big point to talk about is it saturated because there's just so many more creators now? But it is technically, but just because something's saturated doesn't make it bad. It doesn't mean you can't grow, because honestly, the level that you are competing against is, as a whole, and the vast majority is shocking. No one really has an idea of actually good content, and no one tracks the data. And the people who do are succeeding. So just because there is a massive amount of more creators doesn't mean it's saturated. You've only just got to work harder. The thing with OnlyFans is people think it's easy money. So the actual bar that people work to, and the level that people work to, and the amount of work people do is just so low that if you just do a little bit more or a lot more, you're gonna fucking scale. That's the one way to put it. It's just because the bar is so low. If you work a 9 to 5 and you were to put those hours in, or even half per day, fuck, you're already competing about 90% or 95% of the market. And look how close that puts you to the top 1%. But don't be scared of there being such a large amount of creators on the platform, because the vast majority of them just ain't even competing anyway. Another thing we talked about in the saturated part was the fact the average spend per fan has dropped significantly over the years. But you're expecting to see that. And you've got to think of it from a fan's perspective. They've got such a large range of people to pick from now. If you're not really doing the best of jobs in relationship handling and actually speaking to them and creating a good experience and showing your personality, then if you're them, you're going to move about. But if you can handle a relationship, actually make this fan feel like spending, stay in where they are, they're not going to move about. And you're going to be earning more because they're going to want to spend more. That's all it boils down to. As long as you've got the mental capacity and ability to keep working and keep consistent, then you're going to earn a lot of money. It's literally as simple as that. So is OnlyFans saturated? The answer is still yes or no, but the answer really boils down to OnlyFans isn't saturated for people who treat it like a business. If you treat it like a business, it is not saturated. OnlyFans is saturated for people who treat it like it's lockdown, COVID lockdown. That's when you're going to find it saturated, because you're just lazy, technically. And you're not actually putting the work in to find out what works. Bonus angles to look at as well, which may open your eyes. OnlyFans isn't saturated in other countries. There's other markets that you can actually take over. They might be harder, but say, for example, you were Latvian and you moved to the UK and you can speak Latvian or whatever language they speak. There's less Latvian creators. You can go over there and take over that whole market and have it for yourself. There's different ways to look at the space. One quick thing before I leave. OnlyFans monetizes relationships and connection and not just content. Keep that in mind. If you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you've got any bonus questions you want to ask in private, you can send them across to my Instagram. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.